Welcome, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It is the 14th of January, year 2026. Welcome to Facebook Live. I think today is supposed to be a festival in India, which is called Sankranti.
It's a harvest festival.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So happy
Yeah.
Sankranti to those who celebrate.
Yeah.
And let me welcome the panel. I have Lakshmi here. Lakshmi is a session leader on when we host workshops. She leads sessions on mantra chanting. She has the meditation group that she hosts on Tuesdays every week. And she does a monthly talk and a Q&A as well. So if anybody's interested in talking to Lakshmi or joining the group meditation, please feel free to contact her. Good evening, Lakshmi. Then we have Patricia here, who's part of our core group of meditators. Good evening, Patricia. The person that is so dedicated is always here week after week. You know, Eileen Edwards used to be that way. Like, she would always be there with me. So for years and years. And then we have Francesca as well, who has been on a panel before. She joins our group meditation sessions sometimes and has been joining the Facebook Live panel. And then we have Wyatt as well, who's been joining us on group meditation and our panel. So today I wanted to, this is something we touched upon during the group meditation. One of the things that, and Dr. Joe has just posted on his, I think the most recent video blog from him is about, you know, he always talks about meditation is not about doing a meditation. Meditation is about changing yourself, right? So we've talked the past few weeks about forgiveness. What I feel in my whole experience, that our life is about learning 3 lessons. In life, if you see every life situation, it's either going to be a lesson of forgiveness, a lesson of gratitude, or a lesson of surrender. So I'm not going to go into forgiveness and surrender this time. Let's talk about gratitude. So, you know, when Dr. Joe says you're doing the meditation not to do the meditation, you're doing the meditation to change, he is saying, like, his teachings are about, you have an old self and you have a new self, and then there's what he calls a river to change, right? You're changing yourself. But to change yourself, you need to get into these elevated emotions or keep yourself in these elevated emotions. And one of the most or easiest way to get into elevated emotion is to be in a state of gratitude. Now, Eckhart, the way he explains it is gratitude to him is something as simple as appreciation. It's not so much as gratitude. So if you all want to talk about how do you get into these, and you know, a lot of people say that maybe use the wrong phrase. Is Dr. Joe talking about fake it till you make it, about this new self? And it's not fake it till you make it. So I want you all to touch upon, how do you experience this elevated emotion of gratitude? And how do you see that once you were in a state of gratitude, how things around you, like you manifested something that was a surprise, was a miraculous manifestation. I am positive that each one of you, out of gratitude, has manifested something spectacular, right? So let's talk about how to get into these elevated. I think we hear background noise, Wyatt, from your. Yeah, perfect. If you can have yourself on mute and unmute when you are ready to speak. So Lakshmi, you want to get started on how do you get into this elevated state just using gratitude? And you are on mute, so.
Yeah, so I
Thank you.
first learned about the power of gratitude, I think, through Oprah when I was watching her show, how important gratitude is. And then I later heard that message from many, many spiritual teachers on practicing gratitude. So I used to keep a gratitude journal and without fail write every single day on like simple things that happen um, throughout the day. It can be very simple of somebody thought of me and called me, or somebody opened the door when I went to a grocery store, or things can be very simple. So the more I practice gratitude, I could feel that energy in my heart actually. And then when I went for nature walks and I stopped at a tree and looked at the flower, and somehow the tears would just well up. So uh, to me, um, over the years, like from past 15 years, constantly practicing gratitude has helped me in like immense ways. I cannot even describe. Just manifesting just beautiful people, not only Poonam and Patricia and this group. It's just, I have this other meditation group who are all really beautiful souls, and other friends, and even people who come into my life seeking spiritual, um, advice. Every one of them. Um, I am just so grateful. I really cannot even begin to describe the um, process. Uh, I mean, the whole life, how beautiful it actually is. The more we are rooted in the present moment, and I think present moment is a package which comes with gratitude, acceptance, surrender, no resistance to whatever is happening. um, that is why it is called a present, right? It's just self-love. It's all self-love is just built in that present moment package. So um, I cannot even begin to describe the things that I have manifested by staying in that grateful place. And I'm grateful for each and every small thing throughout the day. So um, I don't know what else to speak. Um, I will let others speak. So, yeah, thank you.
So my question to you, Lakshmi, is, okay, if your state changes, right? Like, how do you keep the sustained, elevated emotion throughout the day? Like,
I have some small mantras that I use, which I also taught in the mantra chanting classes. So these are like seed mantras. So I just need to bring myself back by chanting these simple mantras like Om, Hreem, Shreem, and then something shifts inside me, and then I start going deeper and deeper by just chanting these simple mantras. So those are my go-to. So I have several mantras that I reach out whenever I feel that I am not, again, I'm rooted in the present moment. I bring myself back by chanting these mantras. And over the years, the same mantra has become so powerful. I can feel how deep I can go, keeping my eyes open. I'm not even, I'm just in the middle of the class, keeping my eyes open, and then I'm chanting and being so fully present in that moment. So I am blessing everybody who's around me. And yeah, that is my go-to, Poonam. Thank you.
beautiful. If something else
Yes.
comes up, please interrupt us and speak,
Sure.
okay?
Sure.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Infinite
Thank you.
gratitude, Lakshmi, always
Thank
so
you.
sweet
Thank you.
and precious, and deep insights and wisdom, always beautiful. So one of the examples I had given during group meditation is just like Lakshmi said, it doesn't have to be too like somebody doesn't have to give you millions of dollars to actually feel the gratitude, right? So I remember the greatest example that I wanted to give and show a differentiation of what Dr. Joe is talking about. And this is what Eckhart is also saying when he says, be in a state of presence. What they are saying, and the difference is, so I'll give an example. I started, I think 5th of January, this is year 2026, which is a Monday. 5th of January was my first day back at work. On 4th, which is Sunday, what I did was this is my office where I'm speaking from. I actually wiped down everything, like wiped down the monitors, I wiped down all the equipment, wiped down my laptop, I wiped down the desk. There's a, whatever you see in the shadow is actually a bookcase. And I took everything down and I wiped down everything. And then I could feel the lemon smell of the lemon, it's wood, so the lemon cleaner, like just feeling all of that. I could feel a sensation, like a welcoming sensation, that I'm welcoming the new year and new work. I'm welcoming it by cleaning. My dad, may his soul rest in peace, always said, what is that? Cleanliness is next to godliness, right? Like you feel so godlike divinity when you clean everything, right? And it's not so much as you're just saying, some people think it's enough that I write, I'm grateful, or it's enough. And this is the differentiation that I wanted to show everyone. You cannot fake it till you make it. You cannot fake gratitude. The gratitude, and this is what Dr. Joe means by elevated emotion. This has to be a energetic sensation within your body. So to kind of give everybody what it feels like, that happiness, the joy that gratitude feels like. So the gratitude that I felt at that moment is I have a big room as an office to welcome the new year, a clean, big room to welcome the new year and new work. And I could almost feel like I don't know, when you first fall in love, which my ex-husband was my first love, you remember that it feels like butterflies in your stomach and you're like excited, like the whole being is like excited with energetic excitement to go see that person. I was there with joy. Why the joy? That I have a room that is so clean and is welcoming the new year, right? And the gratitude for it, that the universe, the divine has provided me with a house that has a room that is big enough, that I have a bigger room, and I have a clean big room with a clean desk and clean bookcase, and I'm welcoming new work with it. So that difference, that it's not about getting into elevated emotions by saying, I'm grateful. You cannot think, like Eckhart says, right? You cannot think yourself, you cannot make, all these things are not a mental construct. It has to come from a state of presence. The gratitude has the appreciation, and Eckhart during his course, Doorways into Presence, talks about how even Francesca inspired us inspired Louise, myself, and Josie into taking Teacher of Presence course. And even I think in that course, he says he just takes a piece of rock, a smooth rock that he must have picked up, and then he holds that rock in his hand, and the appreciation that those are the simple things that the appreciation for it. Gratitude is that energy of appreciation. And you'll realize when that flow comes, that flow of energy comes, then you're touching everybody with it. Like I may have texted Francesca, our group chat, about something that is like that energy spreads, right? The joy spreads as we are feeling the appreciation, the gratitude. So I wanted everybody to understand it is not enough that you just write. A lot of people say, and I know Oprah says that she wrote a gratitude journal, and she wrote, I'm grateful for this, or I'm grateful for that. Yes, we can write it, but the true, what Dr. Joe, the decision he makes is the thought sends the signal out, but that emotional field. So this field that I was experiencing of that butterflies in my stomach, that I had a clean office space, the butterflies that you feel, right, is the actual emotion that will draw the experience to you. Until you can feel the butterflies of that gratitude, or the excitement, enthusiasm of the gratitude, the inspiration from the gratitude, like I'm saying words, but it is a feeling, right? Until you can feel it, it's not true gratitude. So with that, Patricia, you want to explain how you get into elevated states and the state of gratitude? Thank you. I'm going to check if anybody said something online.
Thank you. I'm not there to the state that Lakshmi is, but I do. For me, it was a journey to even break the habit of just complaining. So I think there is not all Polish culture is about complaining. And Polish people also are very lively and wonderful, very hospitable people. But I did grow up in a lot of complaining and arguing. So it was hard to be grateful, honestly, because, I wasn't really taught how to be grateful. So then slowly but surely through different, like I read Power of Now. I also did some Tony Robbins summits and retreats. And he uses certain ways to elevate your energy. So he definitely, through physical movement, he gets that going. And once he gets that going, so I did it, obviously. So that helped me. I honestly needed to get out of my head and really did something in my body. So that's why Qigong also helped me, that Kelly and Kelly, showed us through our workshops. So this is when I get to my body, and then he said this one exercise to put, our hands in our heart and think of the most wonderful event that you can pick, because each one of us had some kind of history. And it wasn't always bad. Like nobody really lives in the moment and every single day is horrible and they just do. So I went right into few moments that and find the next one and find the next one. So then just by feeling the energy and being there, because that's it's always there, right? This is the past and future. It says energy, it exists. So at some point I realized that every single thing, I was adding more and more and more. And I realized that everything that happened in my life, so-called bad things too, I'm grateful for. It's just, and I appreciate it because it was grace. It was, so that was, I wasn't just saying I'm grateful. I really realized, and I did have tears in my eyes too, in realizing how blessed I am in so many ways. So he used that energetic exercise to bring all people that were there into that state. So that helped me break through finally, you know, the pattern of just, oh, poor me, I'm a victim, just like, you know. So that's right there was a big one. And right now, how I try to sustain it every day, even in the morning, a little bit of movement, exercise. When I go to bed, just loving, like feeling good on my pillow, under my cover, like little things. Sometimes I even almost after taking a shower and feeling, you know, the warm. I have a thought. I'm so grateful that I'm standing here and I can just open the, you know, shower and just put that water, warm water on my, like, it's so just amazing, you know. And then towel. So that's also what Eckhart says, just touching everything, having that moment of relating to a simple thing and seeing its beingness in your presence, and then it just go from there. And then obviously at work, boom, 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 but more and more I just stay in that concept. So even if something bad happens, I said, well, it happened for a reason, this is what we can do. And I'm almost trying to show them, like, be grateful, because if that didn't happen, maybe something worse could have happened. Like, trying to see that, you know, there's a meaning in everything and it's all in our really favor. So let's be grateful. Yeah, the little things, like your body. And then, yes, doing meditations like Love Your Body by Dr. Joe. That also helps, just to be in awe how what a miracle our body is and what it does for us every moment, even our heart just beating 24 hours a day, just keeping us alive. So simple things like putting your, you know, your hand on your heart, even if a lot of people are, you can still do it, they want, and just feel it, feel your heartbeat, and just be grateful for that. So that's how I do it at this point. And yes, I am so very grateful to you, Lakshmi, for the mantras. And lately, I've been saying Sat Chit Ananda. It's just like, you know, for the blessing, like existence, right? Awareness and blessings, or yes, Sat Chit Ananda. I just
Yeah,
want to
existence, consciousness, and bliss.
bless.
Ananda is bliss. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just from just that mere fact, the appreciation of me breathing and being here now, it's enough to be grateful for. And it's interesting because even in big screen movies and stuff, now when I watch it, I watched a while back, Father Stu, I think is based on a true story. I think of an athlete that became a boxer that became a priest, and then his body started to deteriorate. He had some kind of disease that he was losing completely feeling in his whole body, and had to end up on the wheelchair. But there was a scene in the movie when he's sitting at the bar and he's still in his angry mode that was happening to him, and there's this guy with a glass of alcohol sitting there. It's like, you know what? Life will give you a million things every day to complain about, but you only need one to be grateful for, you know, and that will change everything. And that was even in the movie, you know, there is those messages that before people like, okay, it's and now I hear it with such more impact. So thank you.
Beautiful. Grateful, Patricia, for your insights. I know you always talk about while driving, you always feel grateful. There's a bridge, and you're always grateful for the scene.
Oh yeah, talking about manifestation, you said I needed to drive, and the bridge that was before, it was much smaller and was so much traffic, and people were complaining a nightmare. And they built a bridge, and then I got to jump over the bridge. It's like, oh my God, they built the bridge just for me. And it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. It lights up. So you have this vastness of the sky, and the sky is every day different. And then right now at night, in the morning it's still dark, so it's lit up, and when I come back it's different. Sometimes it's beautifully purple, or like the deep blue or orange, or during Christmas it was red and green. So there was an artist, there was some kind of very grateful person that made this bridge design, and it's like in almost like a shape of V, few of those arms going up like to the, to the heavens. It's just gorgeous, and I feel like I'm driving into a painting, with lights. It's such a sublime experience, and I'm blessed everybody with me, because I'm thinking, if there was just me, there wouldn't be bridge. But because all of us are driving every day to work and home, they made that bridge for us so we can have an easier commute. So
Beautiful.
grateful, like, every time.
Thank you. Thank you for that example. Even I felt something similar the other day. Like on Monday, I was driving back from work, and just the fact that our car, I took off the rear, whatever, the shades, and just looking at the sky from a car window, right? And you're driving on the interstate, and there's just this beautiful sky with clouds. And like I live 40 to 50 miles away from the central part of the city. So I live away from the concrete jungle. So I start to see, as I'm driving, I'm in the concrete jungle, but then I started to see what would be nature, like greenery and all that, right? Right now it's brown, because in Texas, everything turns brown. So it's just, again, that same butterfly kind of like gratitude. And even though I was getting into traffic that was like slow, and normally years back, I would have gotten irritated that I'm in, you suddenly, like, you're driving and suddenly the traffic stops during certain sections. It's jammed, right? So I just enjoyed the sky. Like I kept appreciating and feeling that sensation, that butterfly kind of, again, it was a feeling more than me saying I'm grateful.
Right, it's the feeling. It's just you're part of something amazing.
Correct.
Yes.
So one of the things that I've been doing recently is I've started listening to Viktor Frankl. He wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. If anybody's heard of it.
I read that book.
You've read it, right? And it's incredible that in that book, he explains the same thing, that, I mean, first think of your life and this is, if anybody does not know who Viktor Frankl is, Viktor Frankl is a Auschwitz concentration camp survivor. And he was a psychiatrist. So I think he started something called logotherapy after the concentration camp experience, right? But even in the concentration camp, and I'll let y'all read the book to actually know, I can't even explain, right, Lakshmi? There are no words to explain the cruelty and the
I had no idea, I had no idea. It's just oh my God, it's just
you only read his book about Holocaust, or you read other books?
I have read other books also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
So
I grew up, in Poland, so part of even education in Poland, kids in high school read multiple books. We have just 1 year when we're going over, the 20th century and all the craziness that happened then. And obviously, almost 6 million Jews were killed on Polish, land. So we go to concentration camps. So we do, we read so many books about it. It's just.
So he kind of in that book, what he explains a few scenes. I haven't even finished the book. I'm like in the middle of it or something, and he talks about how these prisoners of war, because they were doing railroad, right? And these are people that are emaciated. He talks like they're I don't know if y'all have seen pictures, like their skin is over a skeleton. They're that emaciated, right? And they're walking and their shoes don't fit, clothes don't fit, and then they're walking in the snow. And he talks about, like, in some point in time, he could see the Bavarian mountains or something. And just looking at the view, the way he explains the view and the inspiration and gratitude he felt, right? So the similar kind of appreciation and gratitude, even he talks about, like, it inspired these prisoners of war, right? Or so I wanted to explain to everyone that why did certain people survive? I'm assuming that they survived because they could generate this sense of gratitude in spite of the cruelty that was inflicted upon them. They could look at the sky and they would tell each other, look at the sky. Or one scene that he explains is, even though they were getting like ration food, like watery soup and a piece of bread, they would talk to each other about recipes. Like maybe they would Jewish people that actually were well off, so they must have had huge big meals before, right? Before coming to the concentration camp. So they would talk about their recipe, teach other the recipe, and talk about the food. And he said it was so cruel, like you're getting these rations and it was like unbearable to hear more about food. But that was an inspiration, like actually getting inspired by, oh, we can actually cook those kind of foods. So I wanted to say that you don't have to be, the reason why I bring that up is you don't have to be in a well-off house or well-off circumstances to actually experience this gratitude. That's what he's demonstrating, right? Through that story. You agree, Lakshmi? Like even in the most destitute of circumstances, you
Yes,
can
absolutely.
generate that gratitude. So it was very, very beautiful in that, and inspirational, awe-inspiring in that aspect of it. So beautiful. Thank you, Lakshmi, for the confirmation.
Thank you. I even in the Steve Taylor book on extraordinary awakenings, all the extraordinary awakenings that have happened are in the midst of the most horrible situation you can ever think of. I don't know if it is Stephen Taylor's book or some other. You probably heard of these few boys in Thailand who go for some excursion and then they get trapped in an island for
In a
so
cave,
many-
right?
Yeah, yeah, and they had learned how to meditate, and they meditated and they were grateful that they have each other's company, and then somehow it's just such a miraculous story of how they even got rescued in that. Oh, my battery is low, so let me charge it. Yes. So yeah, in even in Stephen Taylor's book, in the middle of the war, when all the bombs are going, something in them just shifts, and they are able to be in that state of gratitude. And even the story of Sri Aurobindo, he fought for freedom of India. He used to be a rebel, and uh, Britishers wanted him at any cost, and they imprisoned him for whatever reason. And he had learned how to meditate, and the room that they had given him was just so horrible. It was just stench of urine and everything. But but something in him shifted, and they told that he can just walk around in that little place that they provided. So he would be walking back and forth, practicing gratitude, and then you know, beautiful things have happened after that, and yeah, very awe-inspiring stories of what staying in gratitude can do, even in the midst of the most extraordinary like situations which you cannot even imagine. Yeah, like in the middle of the war, and yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Lakshmi. With that, I'll go to Francesca. I'm sure Francesca has a lot to speak about. I know we are always with each other. We are always grateful, Francesca. So grateful for you. Thank you.
And we have so much of that gratitude flowing in our group too, right? In our yeah. Oh, what a beautiful topic. This is my favorite one. Well, they're all my favorite ones, but like for me, I've experienced gratitude personally as a state. It's like a state of consciousness. It's a natural arising that happens from presence. And for me, I can get into that. Well, I'm usually in that state. So once I found it, literally, you know, because there is the part of us that I know for me in the earlier part of my journey, I tried, you know, writing it and chanting it and all these different things. But it, you know, and from time to time I'd experience a glimpse of that feeling, but you know, nothing that would stay. And so from practice, what I've learned is, of course, it requires practices. It's when we become present, and we first, for me, the first thing is like appreciation and like recognizing, like, oh my God, like what I already have, which is like, by the way, so much. Like when I look at my apartment, like my space, there's so much stuff in it. Like, talk about abundance. My God, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I've got to clear a whole bunch of things out, you know? Um, so yeah, for me, it arises as a natural state of, you know, being and recognizing of how much I already have. Like, my God, like even when I wake up in the morning and I throw my arms up, you know, I look out the window. I'm lucky to have a giant window. And so I see, you know, like the skyscrapers here in downtown Vancouver, but also the sky. And, you know, I thank God, you know, for such abundance. Like I'm so lucky to live in, I think it's one of the richer places like in the world because it's downtown Vancouver, right? People come here for vacation. And I actually am so blessed to live here. You know, I wake up here, I get to raise my daughter here, I can walk to the ocean, you know? And so gratitude is something that I've interwoven itself, well, that we've, you know, it's woven into my entire life because I mean, before I even got here, I started from a homeless shelter, which is where my awakening kind of took root full blown, right? That's where it started. And so even Charlotte, you know, we both like we're the people that kiss everything, you know, even when we walk outside, we would be like, you know, we'd be kissing the flowers and, you know, thanking nature, like, you know, kissing the sky, the sun, the moon. We'd be howling at it through our window during the full moon. Sometimes the neighbors actually join in, you know. So yeah, for me it's just part of it's become, you know, but when I think when Poonam was trying to explain what Dr. Joe was saying, you know, it's not something I strive for, I have to maintain. It's something I found that gradually built itself over the course of my practice of becoming present and recognizing that which I already have, for being, recognizing and appreciating. Appreciation is huge part of gratitude. Appreciating that, these gifts, and the fact that the universe has literally given us the whole universe, you know what I mean? And free will. Oh my God, free will. So we get to choose, what we could do. And like, it's like a giant playground. And so, the child in me really, I allow myself to bask in all of the gifts that we have, because and even being alive, like for me, waking up every single day, that's like huge, because I don't know, according to the hospital, I yeah, I don't even want to say it, because yeah, they think I would have already died, and probably 100 times already, right? And I'm grateful that I'm here now. So I'm and also for me is a knowing, like knowing is probably not the right word. It's more awareness, a deep grounded awareness in the knowing that universe always takes care of me, no matter what. Always, always, so it's like that unwavering trust and faith. Even when I'm in the hospital bed or wherever it is, whatever it is that's going on. And yes, I waver, we have, the ups and downs that happens, impermanence of life, right? You know, my God, if you saw me before, so we had a beautiful Eckhart teacher presence talk this morning. So I'm like, yay, I came out, it was beautiful. Even though I've listened to it before, I had some beautiful self-realization that happened this morning. But like up until this morning, I mean, if you saw me, like, maybe, okay, you wouldn't physically see it, but on the inside, I was like a mess for like the entire week, because I got started on a new heart medication, and it didn't, my body is one of those bodies that if there's a side effect when it comes to physical medication, it happens to me for some reason. I think that's my body's my intuitive higher self way of saying, no, that's not the good route. It's the universe way of protecting me. And so they started me on this new one cardiologist who only seen me once, but she, is this really important specialist, and started me on an additional heart medication. And I started getting all the side effects of it. And the side effects was like fatigue, loss of consciousness. So I was cranky and like, squirmy and like agitated. Poor Charlotte, I yelled at her a couple of times. I would beat myself up with the guilt. And I'm like, so I went from like really beautiful stillness, like high in presence, from our program with Eckhart and our daily practice. And, everything was like la-di-da. And then I started this medication. It was like, oh my God, no. There were points when I couldn't find stillness, which was funny. And yeah, it was interesting, because I really, really got to witness, and see how much, something like a medication can affect our connectivity, to our true essence, to our presence, and so forth. So yeah, gratitude for me, it's really a softening that happens, that comes with it. There's a natural softening from the recognition and which is the awareness of that which I already have. I'm already I'm always being taken care of by the universe from multiple directions. No matter what, somehow the magic happens. And so yeah, for me it's a state of being, or a state of consciousness. I think state of being, it's the same thing, I guess. And it comes from that presence and appreciating. And so in terms of technique, I've journaled. And the key with journaling, if you're going to journal, like I have a gratitude journal somewhere probably in back of me on my bookshelf. The key in journaling is the same thing as when you're not journaling it. So you could journal it or you could not journal it. The key in either cases is feeling that feeling. And in order to activate that feeling, it comes from appreciation and recognizing the fact that, you know, you're alive, you're already being taken care of, you know, even if you're praying for money, let's say, for example, you know, appreciating and recognizing that which you're already receiving, that you already have it actually. And the abundance is there. It's just waiting for you to vibrate at that frequency for it to come to you, right? So that frequency again is that gratitude. That's the bridge for manifest anything actually. So yeah, that's all I have, I guess, for gratitude for now.
You have
Um,
to you have to give the example of what happened towards the end of the year where Eckhart gave you Eckhart's this thing, they gave you
Sure.
a refund or reduced pricing, right? Like sponsorship.
Yes. Oh my. Okay. Sure. Yeah. So this is the manifestation part of gratitude. So towards the end of the year, Christmas, well, before that, I had been spending, you know, in my gratitude. So from time to time, I overflow, and because I don't necessarily have a budget, you know, I have this flow thing that I do, and I donate to things and give money and so forth. Anyways, so towards the end of the year, towards Christmas, I was like, oh my God. So, you know, it's okay. You know, universe always finds a way to take care of me. And I was like, I don't know, I guess, but here's the thing, I was at peace. Like I didn't really have a lot of money. We actually didn't have any money for Christmas. Um, but I was like at peace. And so, you know, I was like happy. The thing is, I was happy because I was experiencing lots of presents. My practices were, you know, doing well. Like I was feeling really good, you know, and I'm like, and for me, I was just staying in the frequency of like, oh my God, like the end of the year almost here. October has passed, November has passed. I haven't had to go into the hospital since also the first year. I didn't have to go back to the hospital, you know? And so I'm like in that frequency. So I'm like happy. And I think Emmanuel Dagor, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He is this extraordinary being of love and light. And so he sent us an email with he had this frequency of abundance in the email, and it with instructions of what we needed to do. So I was like, oh my goodness, thank you so much, Radhika. He's so beautiful. Like he's prayed for me when I was in hospital and all of these things. And so I clicked on the abundance and it's like, okay, I'm gonna do this, you know, for a couple of days, you know, like it says for 7 days. I'm like, okay, I'll try this practice. So you know, I'm just like sitting in it and then I'm like, you know, I don't really have any money to buy presents for Charlotte or anything like that. But you know, that's okay because Eckhart's teacher of presence course had come up. And even though I didn't really have any money, I was like, you know what? I knew. So here is the other thing. Every part, every cell in my body, every fiber of my being knew I was supposed to be in that course, that this course is tied to my destiny. And whatever teachings is in there, I don't know what it was, but I knew there's something in there that I needed to help me to move to this level that I needed to be, you know, to where I want to show up from as a being of you know, presence and so forth. And so I knew I needed to take that course. So what I did, click the registration button and I registered. And what I didn't expect was once I registered, the payment comes out of the account, right? So every month. And there's a huge difference between Canadian and US dollars. Our Canadian dollars is like like it's really, really bad. So sure enough, when I'm like, oh my God, I knew, I'm like, this is going to have a ripple effect, you know? I'm like, okay, well, worst case scenario, my account will go into negativity. We won't have Christmas this year. We can just skip it. You know, I'll go over to my sister's anyways. She cooks, you know. I'm like, so in the back of my mind is like that played out, of course, you know, the human part of me. And you know, and so that went in, and then there was another email that came in after, I think, like, I don't remember exactly how long after, and they said that, you know, Eckhart is offering this either full scholarship or partial scholarship, and we can apply. So I saw it and I'm like, you know what? I don't know why, something was just like, just click on it and apply. So I clicked on it and I applied. And when I applied, I asked for, a partial scholarship because I'm like, okay, well, at least, some money, they can take some of it out for the course. And I let go, I surrendered. I'm like, okay, well, I've done that, that's out there. And so all of a sudden, within, I don't remember how long it took exactly because I don't really do times anymore, but all of a sudden I received an email and it said, I have this, that I've received the scholarship, a partial scholarship. So the amount that I had to pay is only 15 Canadian dollars a month. And I was like, oh my God. And the funny thing is I read the email but like my mind didn't quite register what was happening. So I was like, I closed it and then I was like, shoot, I've got to figure out, I'm like, sure. And Charlotte keeps telling me, okay, Mama, for Christmas, I don't want a lot of things, but she keeps reminding me of the 3 things she have on her list. And I was like, okay, universe, there's going to be something like, so part of me felt like something is going to happen. Like I just knew. And then I don't know why I was going through my emails again. I saw the email again from Eckhart and I read it and I'm like, okay, they are saying that I did get the scholarship. What does this mean? All of a sudden I was like, oh my God, does that mean if I'm only paying $15 for the course, does that mean I'm going to, get a refund or something like that, right? So I was just like, okay, I'll leave that out to the universe. And I think I shared with Poonam, with you guys, right, that I got the scholarship, great news. And then by then, I think you had also, Poonam, sent the gift for me and Charlotte as well. So yeah, there was this gift from you, and then all of a sudden Eckhart's
Refund.
Marcus, his name, from that side, he was like, oh, I've processed your refund. So now this whole amount of money, which was like about 145 to 150 Canadian dollars each month. So now that was about $300 returning back to my account. Then you sent us that gift to my account. And I was just like, oh my God. And within a short amount of time frame, like really short, like I mean, within a matter of days, there was enough money to get Charlotte her Christmas presents, like the things she wanted on her list. There was enough for me to even pay my credit because I was running a credit thing. And we had more than enough money for Christmas and everything. So yeah, it was just like really, really fast manifestation, how everything kind of just happened. And interestingly, with this manifestation, I was just in gratitude and I was really content and I was okay with not having Christmas because really, when you think about Christmas, like, unfortunately what was done to it, it's become more marketing type of, holiday. So they kind of killed it, right? So, and I'm not into any of that anymore. So I'm like, okay, you know what, we'll go walk around, see the lights, and things like that. But yeah, the key, well, for me, I was really content. I was present. I was just happy with, the presence and just being and grateful and surrendered. Really, surrender played a big role in that. And I wasn't really manifesting. That's the thing.
And then your sister ended up doing all the cooking, so you didn't.
So
there was
yeah,
abundant food as well,
part,
right?
Yeah. So the other part of that was we ended up not having to buy any Christmas dinner ingredients whatsoever because my sister is like, oh, no, my company is going to pay for Christmas dinner. I'm like, but are you sure? She's like, oh, you know what? Every company I've worked with have done this every single year. They're going to do it this year. Don't worry. So I'm like, because I'm like, I'm going to make. Charlotte decided she was going to cook dinner. And then she hired me to make, some of the, help her like to make the turkey. And then she's like, oh, Mom, can you make the caviar, the cowboy caviar, which is Anthony Williams cowboy caviar? She loves it. We both do, right? Everybody do, actually. Turns out at Christmas, we introduce everybody else to it. And oh my God, they absolutely inhaled it. And my sisters, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go buy the ingredients for the cowboy caviar. She's like, no, 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 no. You don't have to buy anything. Just come to the store with me and let me know whatever it is that you want. Yeah. So like it was like, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Like, oh my God, like gratitude is like honestly, it's almost like an understatement, because it's like this overflowing feeling of like, oh my God,
Beautiful.
So yeah.
Thank you so much for
So in
sharing,
that-
Francesca.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, in that case, it was all surrender, I think, was the big key. Surrender and just content and appreciative.
I have a feeling you were in a different state level of consciousness because of the teacher presence course
Yes.
as well, right?
I
So-
was, yes, I was absolutely in like, oh my God, I
blissful
still
state.
don't have words, yeah, for any of that. And I actually don't want words for it, but absolutely, yes. And up until this week, that's where I was. So it's lasted, it's deep, and the presence, the more practice I put into it, the longer, it stays, and it's coming down to practicing constantly, actually, is what I like. And I am enjoying doing it. This week, that medication was absolutely awful. But I'm 2 days now without using the medication. My other cardiologist stopped it, of course, because turns out it was really serious, the side effects. And yeah, I'm feeling better already.
Awesome. The power that makes the body heals the body, Francesca.
Yeah.
All these doctors seem to think all these medications will help. None of it will help. So
Uh,
let me go to Wyatt since we are getting late. And Patricia, if you need to drop, you can. I know it's getting late for you. But Wyatt, go ahead. You want to share something about
Yes.
gratitude and elevated emotions? Thank you.
Well, what you said, Poonam, it all begins with presence. I'll say goodbye to Patricia here. So,
Thank you.
so as to how Joe draws emotions ahead of surrender, and where Eckhart, different order, to me, without presence, there's no surrender. And it goes hand in hand with it. But I don't want this to get into some sort of a concept, because I'm noticing more and more every day how my conditioned mind is attempting to convince me that it's the presence when it's not at all, never has been. So when some of you mentioned earlier in this call about peace and about happiness, and when I'm no longer being aware of present moment awareness, that I'm actually the present moment, I have no fear, and I have no need to know the steps between. In other words, I move in and out of being the awareness. But that doesn't mean I'm in my conditioned mind. It just means I'm watching everything unfold. And what's wonderful about this call and listening to each of you is that each of you has held up this beautiful, clear mirror reflection of the best in me, and it's also shown me what still needs to be healed. That doesn't mean that it's about you needing to be healed. It's about what I brought to listening to each of you. And the other thing I just wanted to say is that this call has reminded me who I am and my inner purpose, that I've been more on track than I was willing to admit and accept. And the only time I get concerned is when my ego kicks in, my conditioned mind, and plays some poor me story that I've had for a very long time. And then it's like somebody pulls the brake, on the train, and the brakes hit and it locks and it comes to a screeching halt. And that's analogous, or an example of how I catch myself. I wake up out of this deep slumber. And I literally say out loud to myself, hey, you're so much into this poor me story up on the cross you created. And all you're doing is re-anchoring in, not the elevated emotions, but the exact opposite. And then I go, whoa. And then I get really concerned. And then I'm between clients, or I'm on a walk, and I see somebody's dog taking the owner for a walk, and I share that joy, and everything's gone. I'm fine.
The dog is taking the owner for a walk?
Yeah. 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 Pardon me. I'm not used to
How
all
does
the.
that, how does that happen?
Huh? Well, there's
How-
a dog. I'll tell you. So a couple blocks from here, where I go to get my morning coffee, there's a dog park that the city put up, and they sell memberships, and for the people who want to use it for their dogs. And I mean, I see dogs want to jump out of the car before it's parked. They want to get in and see the other dogs. And people are walking their dogs, but the dog is like literally pulling the owner. And some of these dogs are big and strong, I mean, like huge. But it doesn't matter the size of the dog. It's the size of the dog's heart. And like the extending leash, the kind you can let the dog go further and further away. And finally, it's like the dog's still pulling on the leash. And then I realize, oh, they've taken it as far as they can. And that's when I'll say to somebody, oh, well, I see your dog's taking you for a walk today. And experiencing what I'm giving, it's like, whoa, like presence can also enjoy a great sense of humor. So, and answering your question just now and sharing that, I'm not worried about anything. I'm just fine. So yeah, it's everything. Thank you again, Poonam. Everything begins with presence. And I was at the community center here in Beverly Hills yesterday, because they do my taxes every year. And while I was there, I saw some people who I don't know how old they were, and a few of them were dancing, and they had a man playing the guitar and a woman vocalist. And I'm looking and I'm going, this is great. And as I'm leaving, I see a brochure and I give it to my older sister, because they have a program for 7 weeks where if you're isolating, you want to come out of isolation, they got a whole bunch of younger people between 14 and 24 years old who you could mentor. So it's a win-win. So I wrote a note and I left it for my sister, and I said, check this out. Let me know what you think. And she wrote out a note and she said, no, thank you. And then she wrote after that, thank you for thinking of me with an exclamation point. And you know what? You know what? I didn't pursue it. I just accepted this is where she's at. I brought presence to it. I brought elevated emotions to it. I definitely was in a state of surrender. And when I read the note this morning, I was fine.
What would your previous reaction be?
I'm sorry, what?
What would your previous reaction be to the same note?
Oh, I would,
You would badger her?
yeah, I'm getting the answer. I'm peeling away layers of the onion. I'm just not doing it out loud. The previous reaction would have been more about me. Why am I not able, like there was something wrong with me that I couldn't get her to see the value and jump in and say yes. You know, and I'm sure you as a parent and the rest of the parents on this call right now, you know, it's like, you know, how did they get, well, this isn't, I'm not the parent. I'm not even the surrogate parent. And that's how I would have been. And instead, I'm at peace. I accept it. You know, it's not about me. It's about this is where she's at, and I don't need to pursue it. I don't need to change her mind. I don't need to persuade her, because all that would be resistance to me being present with whatever thoughts generated, which emotions that triggered in me an old belief, which is I just didn't do it good enough. And the fact is, I did. I did it exactly the way I did it. And it brought peace to me the fall, you know, like 12 hours later this morning. So yeah, when I'm in presence, I don't need to fear whenever she gets called back, when she passes on, whenever that'll be. In the meantime, I got a life, I'm living it, I got you folks, and most of all, I'm getting more of myself back. And I love it. So presence, yeah, it's all about beginning with presence. And with presence, there's gratitude, there's surrender. And you know what else? As those emotionally wound too tight springs inside my subconscious mind, as they unwind, there's more space available. And what rushes in is forgiveness. Thank you. Great call. Appreciate it.
Eternally grateful, Wyatt. Beautiful sermon that you've given towards the end, right? What do you say, Francesca, about what Wyatt said?
Oh, absolutely. I'm on board with everything Wyatt shared, you know, about presence and really that's the key in gratitude, right? Is presence and yeah, everything that he shared, right? And
Yeah.
it reminded me of what we call which I forgot to share earlier, but Wyatt share reminded me of when I was at Mind Valley. We did there's a Mind Valley quest by a beautiful being called his name is Ken Honda, and it's the money EQ quest,
Right.
and he talks about arigato living, And arigato living was something that I learned and I put into practice actually. And I practiced it for years. And actually, now that I'm remembering it, I'm going to go back to it because arigato living is really, it's again that state of consciousness and feeling gratitude for not just when we receive money, but also when we're spending money, which is huge game changer. Because here is the thing, you know, like my old mindset and majority of people, the old mindset programmed us to believing when we're spending money, we're like, you know,
We're losing it.
we're losing it, right? But what we're not recognizing, and this is what the arigato living really opened me up to, is the fact that even if I'm paying rent, what I'm receiving is shelter, safety, a home, you know? So be grateful for paying that rent. If I go to Starbucks and I'm buying a latte, I am grateful for it because there's so much joy, you know, when I sit in Starbucks and I sip my matcha, I'm in my journey and I'm listening to my high frequency. Oh my God, you would think I use something that's so high, you know, it's just like, I'm just in bliss and I'm journaling and it's like, you know, so I'm grateful for buying that matcha. So it's a gratitude also in giving, not just receiving, but you know, recognizing, yeah, again why we're spending that money. Um, you know, even if we're paying taxes, you know, we have good roads that we can drive on. Yeah, it gets a little hole and we can complain, but bottom line is it's better than, you know, growing up in a third world country. We've seen, right, what the roads are like there. Or, you know, for example, when I was a child, I had to carry water like in buckets for like miles, you know, just from the well and things like that. Here I've got running water, you know. So all of these beautiful way to like expand that energy of gratitude is yeah, something I learned from. So we say arigato, that's the practice. It's, you know, even when I go to Starbucks, everywhere I go, it's like arigato, arigato, right? That's what we say to everything when we're spending the money and when we're receiving it.
Beautiful. That's what I feel like when I spend money. I'm thinking about like people just think that, oh, it's a corporation that we are spending money on and we're just giving it to the shareholders. But I feel like, look, some portion of it, like if I pay my phone bill, some portion of it went to somebody's, like, let's say I'm paying to Verizon, not let's say, I am paying to Verizon. So just out of all the customers, then they can hire 200, 300,000 people. And it's like giving 300,000 people their home, their shelter, taking care of the children, taking care of if they have elderly parents. They're allowing 300,000 employees, right? Some people may say, oh, you're just paying for an expensive phone, this thing. But the way I see it is, it's like, look, just because all these customers are paying, these people, that corporation is able to, it almost is running like a nation and paying for the livelihood of so many people, right?
Absolutely. And recognizing too, like a lot of these, you know, because I've worked corporately for so many years, I'm aware of how much a lot of companies also give back, right?
Yeah.
Like the hospital, the entire heart floor that I stayed on, that I practically lived in for so many years, like that's sponsored by one of the big corporations, right? And if it wasn't for their sponsorship, I would have to figure out how the heck am I going to pay for any of that, like, you know, any of the
Right.
service or even being.
Right, people don't
there.
see that.
Yeah,
people
yeah.
don't see.
So it's yeah, it's something that arigato living really opened up, you know, that portal for me to really see and appreciate, you know, so much than I was wired to, right? Previously old wiring that didn't see that.
Beautiful lesson, beautiful lesson. Thank you so much, Francesca. And just like you, just because I grew up in India, I had the same, so when Patricia was talking about just turning on the knob and now you're able to shower, I always, people don't even realize how in third world countries we store water. Like we have huge containers that we go somewhere else. Like if somebody watches the video for charity water, that was my story that I would have to, and that's why I do donate to, if something pulls my heart, it is that charity water, because all throughout my childhood, I had to bring buckets of water up to where a bathroom was and store water. It's not even like you can turn on the faucet and water is running. It's like
Oh,
there's no running water. You're storing, going and bringing water either from, there were some houses that we had a well, so you had to drop the bucket in the well, pull using a rope, and your hands are getting like it's coir rope, so
yeah.
your hands are getting like burned. You're getting burnt by the rope, but you're still pulling that water and then taking it upstairs to your like apartment. Here you would call it a flat, there we just call it our home. You take it
Oh, okay.
upstairs to our home and store it. So to me, again, like Patricia was saying, right, just having the fact that you turn on the knob and have running water.
Yeah, yeah, I was
It's
lucky
just
to have some running water there too, because I had guardians who they were my like second parents, and they
okay.
felt so bad because we were working so hard. Should they invested in purchasing, having a structure built, and then they purchased these ginormous tanks, and
Okay.
so yeah, they were able to invest in their own infrastructure. So then we were able to get running water, but until then we were in the same, carrying water for
Yeah, we're-
miles from somebody else's well, because they were able to dig that deep to have water, because the
Exactly.
country, there is no infrastructure, was what it was, right? The pipes, or even if there was, the old ones, it was never really maintained, and so the country didn't have
Right. For
running
whatever
water.
reason, water supply was, we were always, there was always a drought. We were already always short of water. And then there
Yeah.
was no running water in the other, I don't even know what the situation is now. Did it change, or do people still struggle? But yeah,
Yeah, I think where I lived, a lot of people, they have running water now, because the
Okay.
government, they invested in proper infrastructure in that
Okay.
regard. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay,
But
on
not
that,
everywhere, of course, but yeah.
on that note, let's close the call. Thank you for choosing your divinity over your humanity. Wyatt, for whatever reason, I think I don't see him on the call, so he
think we
must have
lost him.
disconnected. We lost
Yeah,
him. So eternally grateful for your presence, everyone. Patricia is still here, and Francesca. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank
It was a
you.
beautiful, beautiful, like, depth of knowledge sharing. So thank you for sharing the depths of your being, everyone. Loved it. Loved it. Have a fantastic day. Many blessings. Much love, everyone. Bye. Good night.